The Hedges by Leanne Little. Copyright 2010. It was dark, darker than I had expected. The hedges stretched up into the air above me and seemed to taunt me the more I ran around trying to get out of the maze they created. It had been at least 2 days since I entered as a distraction from my daily life, and I was no closer to getting to the center of it. Where there would be a prize of some sort, or finding my way back out the way that I had come. In that regard, it was more of a distraction than I could have hoped. After the first couple hours, panic set in. I started running haphazardly, taking every turn without thinking instead of being logical and trying to strategize my way out of it. I was scratched and even bruised, covered with grass stains from tripping. I hadn't been in that kind of condition since I was 6 and had gone camping for a week. One more turn and I stepped out into a clearing. It had to be the center of the maze. There was nothing else it could be. I hadn't come across any other clearings in the past 2 days. Right in the middle of the perfectly kept clearing was a small cottage. Smoke swirled invitingly from the chimney and I breathed a long sigh of relief. I would be out soon enough. I went to the door and cracked it open. The inside was just as cozy and comfortable as the outside had implied. The entrance opened into the living room, which featured a couch, fireplace, and numerous shelves filled with trinkets. I stepped in and settled myself on the couch, grateful for a few minutes' peace as I waited to see what would happen next. I felt more at home there than I did in my own apartment, and I fell asleep almost immediately. My eyes had been closed for mere seconds before heavy footsteps entered the room. Looking up, I saw a massive man, nearly giant-sized, but not quite. His face was grotesque, cut, burned, and scarred. He looked just as surprised to see me as I was to see him, though most of the scars made it difficult for his expression to change. "You're the first person to come here in years," he said. When I didn't reply, he continued. "So I guess you get the big prize." I smiled, looking forward to finding out what it was. The advertising never made it clear what the prize was, just that it was amazing. "Come on," he ordered, pulling me to my feet and out of the cottage. I grumbled as I followed. Hadn't I already walked long enough? Wasn't 2 full days of it enough? Our path took us back into the maze, twisting and turning so that I'd lost my way in no time at all. At last, we reached the mouth of the maze, though it wasn't the one I had entered through. "This is your prize." "A road is my prize?" It seemed kind of like a ripoff. He nodded. "Not many find their way out on their own. I lead out even fewer of them." I considered the road for a minute and all of the troubles that waited for me at home. Then I thought of a few other things. "Is the prize exchangeable?" He frowned. Of the few he had guided out, most were so grateful to be sent on their way, far away from him, that they pretty much fled the area, never to come back. "I suppose it depends on what you want." I took one more moment to think things through and made my decision. "I want to stay at the cottage." "If that is what you wish." "It is." He took my hand, smiling. He took me back to the cottage, which was no longer a cottage at all, but a gorgeous mansion. We stepped through the doorway, and I turned to look at him in amazement, and found that he was no longer deformed, but as handsome as a god. I smiled brightly at him. "This is the real prize."